Hey, welcome back. I'm Courtney and this is the Accounting Struggle, where we speak about our struggles with accounting openly and honestly. We do not run from them. And today's video will be all about 3 different types of careers in accounting that maybe you don't know a lot about. So before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you for joining. If you're new here, welcome. I do apologize that it's been a couple of weeks since my last video. I have had so much going on in my personal and work life, and I just have not been able to sit down and get this done, but I'm here now. All is well. I'm giving you a little bit of shoulder today because today I'm filming this on the 4th of July, so I'm about to go out here in these streets and have a good time. But I did want to catch up with you and just go over 3 different accounting careers that I feel like I wanted to highlight. So I'm not going to highlight auditing or tax because I feel like we know enough about those as options. I feel like when people hear accountant or CPA, they think, oh, can you do my taxes? So people kind of already know about audit and tax, but I wanted to shed light on these 3 in particular because I feel like people don't talk about them as much. I didn't hear much about them when I was in college, and I just wanted to give you some different ideas if you're like, I don't think I could ever see myself doing tax or audit, but I like accounting as a field of study. Here's some different options for you. So I'm going to start with the first type of accountant, which is what I do now, is the investment accountant. So overall, the investment accountant would be concerned with the accounting for the investments of a company. So right now I work for a large insurance company where we have an investment portfolio, and I do the accounting for that investment portfolio. I make it sound like I'm the only one doing it, and I'm not, but that's how that works. So the investment accountant is going to have the key responsibilities of managing the investment portfolio, the accounting side of it. So if you're thinking in terms of what assets to invest in, that's not what the investment accountant would be responsible for. It would be more so the recording of the activity and making sure that everything that is in the financial statements related to the investment portfolio is stated correctly according to, generally accepted accounting principles or whatever other governance you would need to use for that particular company. So a couple of the things that you would be doing as an investment accountant, of course this can vary depending on what type of industry or what type of company you work for and all the different types of governance that you would have to consider. But a lot of the day-to-day things that I have do in my job now, and I talk about this in another video, if you're interested in that, I will link that in the cards. But basically you are looking at recording the activity within the investment portfolio. So any new investments, any write-downs or any impairments, you're working closely with the portfolio managers or the investment managers of that particular asset to determine, is this going to take a loss? What are some things we need to consider? Are we going to have to write this investment down? Little things like that. And then you're doing work within the general ledger. So you do have to, or at least I do still have to record journal entries and perform reconciliations month over month, sometimes quarter over quarter, just to see how is the activity looking? Are there things that we should be considering going forward based on the current climate? There's so much to consider when you're working in investment accounting. It's not just the accounting governance, but there's also things that will impact the overall financials of a company. So there's a lot of collaboration with the finance team. Even though you wouldn't necessarily be in finance, you will be working very closely with the portfolio managers. You would also be working closely with them, looking through contract agreements. So you want to be able to have the type of skill set where you are, you're doing a lot of writing and reading, preparing memos, that kind of thing. So those are some skills that you would want to have if you're going to go into a career as an investment accountant. So for this type of career, your education background that you would want to pursue is obviously accounting. So having a degree in accounting is step 1. But if you are considering what else would go well with this, if you're going to either double major or master, I would say finance is the best thing to do with accounting because you're going to be working with the finance team over the course of your career. You're going to be looking at assets and different types of investments, that terms that you wouldn't necessarily learn in your accounting courses. You would definitely pick those things up in finance, and there is a financial portion that goes on the CPA exam. But also, to be in investment accounting, you will find that finance, having those skills, or having the education and background in finance will be very helpful going forward if you go into this type of career. Some certifications, obviously the CPA, I'm going to say that with everything, because it covers like all of it. It covers every type of accounting or all the different sections of accounting, but it would also help you if you have your CFA. If you're not sure about what these initials are and you're like, CFA, CPA, I don't know what you're talking about, I have a video that goes over all the different types of accounting certifications that you can get. So that's something that I will link in the cards as well. Some of the skills that you want to go into this type of careers, for one, you really want to have good analytical skills. You're going to be doing a lot of comparisons, looking at how things change monthly or quarterly. You, with a career as an investment accountant, you will want to have strong math skills, be very much a numbers person, super detail oriented, and you want to be really proficient in Excel. Everything that I work on in my day-to-day job is like Excel. I don't think that I have any job duties that I do that don't really involve Excel. But it doesn't stop there. Written and oral communication skills are also very important. I feel like with accounting, sometimes we forget about like English and we just pretend like that doesn't matter at all. And grammar is not important, but it definitely will be. So those are some things that you want to consider if you are thinking about a career in investments accounting. If you really love your finance classes and you're really a numbers person and you're trying to decide between the two, and should I go finance, should I go accounting, you can do both and be an investment accountant. So the next type of accounting career that I wanted to highlight would be the forensic accountant. So I said this before in another video, forensic accounting, it just sounds very interesting. I think because the word forensic, we think of like, you know, criminal minds and shows like that, but it is not that type of criminal activity. It's not murder, it's just, you know, number crime, but it is still very interesting. It isn't typical for you to start off your career in accounting as a forensic accountant because it does take some experience to know what you're looking for. So the forensic accountant is interested in financial crimes. So they do investigative work for both public and private companies where they're looking specifically for financial crimes. So fraud, things like embezzlement, all the juicy stuff. And they also provide valuation services. So, and they can do this for individuals as well. I can't remember which blog I read this on. I'll try and link that in the description, but Sir Paul McCartney, I believe his wife was suing him, and so she got, when they were getting divorced, she got a forensic accountant to look into what he was worth because he wasn't trying to give her enough money, and she was like, no, I know you got more money than that, I'd like a piece. And so a forensic accountant basically looked into his finances, determined what he was really worth, his true value, and that was how she got the money, you know, the check that she felt she was truly worthy of. It is tea, but that's the type of work that the forensic accountant is doing. They're basically looking into what a company is worth, but they're also specifically looking for financial crime. So think white collar crime. So if a company is being sued, or if they are suing a company, let's just say, so the forensic accountant would be a key player in determining what type of damages to seek, what are the financial awards that they should go for. So that's the type of work that they're doing. You definitely, I would say most forensic accountants do start off working in audit, either internal or external audit, just to get that experience of knowing how to kind of comb through the financials of a company and knowing what activity to look for. But with an auditor, it's a little different. You're not always specifically seeking out financial crime. If it pops up, then it's like, okay, fine, we're out of here. But with a forensic accountant, they're specifically looking for mess. So let's just say Tylenol puts out some faulty Tylenol. Whoever makes Tylenol, I have no idea who that is, but whoever produces that, they put it out and it's all shipped at all the CVS's and all the Walgreens worldwide, and then they're like, oops, that was no good, that's rat poison, our bad, people are gonna die if they take this. And so people sue them. So in order to determine how much money to seek for that and what the actual damages are, the forensic accountant will play a huge role in that. So that's the type of work you're doing. You're looking for not only just the value of a company, but it's a whole investigative process. So if a forensic accountant works in the FBI, they would be looking into things like investigating spies, terrorists, criminals. They're looking for big financial crimes. So I'm sure if you are an accounting student and you've taken an audit class by now, you've heard of Enron or Arthur Anderson. They Enron me to death when I was in school, so I know you have heard of Enron. But you're looking at the financial crimes within a company: fraud, falsification of records, embezzlement, just all that juicy stuff that goes on within a company. That's the type of stuff that you would be doing. So if you're going to work in the FBI, of course you have to keep up with all the federal laws, and there's so much more. That's like a whole nother level of investigative work. But a forensic accountant doesn't show up like an auditor and say, hi, we're here to investigate you. It's not like an auditor. An external auditor is hired by the company. Hey, can you look at our stuff and say it's good, good enough for our investors, so that they're satisfied. And that's what external auditing is. With forensic auditing or forensic accounting, it's a lot more secretive, it's more under the radar, it's a whole investigation process. So you're low-key like a accounting cop. So for a career like this, if you have the type of background where you just have a lot of professional skepticism, that's really your thing. You are good at investigating, research. You've always been into having the patience to really dig deep into the background of things. This might be a good career choice for you. Also, if you really appreciate the criminal side of things. So if you are majoring in accounting and you are thinking about long term, you really want to go into this forensic accounting as a career, you would also want to look into criminal justice as a major, so that you can have all of the pieces of the puzzle, because you're working closely with attorneys, but it's a lot of, it's literally you're investigating criminal activity, so you need to know the law. So a couple of certifications that would work well to become a forensic accounting: of course, the CPA. You do need your CPA, but along with that, it would really be great if you had your CFE, a certified fraud examiner. If you are trained and you are skilled at looking into fraud, you know specifically what to look for, I would say that would be very helpful and take you even further. I don't know any forensic accountants with just one set of initials behind their name. They usually have all of them. So if you get your CPA and you want to go for a career in forensic accounting, you'll definitely want to look into a CFE or a CIA. Again, if you're not familiar with these terms, you can look at the other video that I did on different accounting certifications. I'll link that in the description box so that you have that information to look over. But those are the types of things you want to look into. So a couple of the skills that a forensic accountant would have would be, of course, just being detail oriented, but I think that's with every accounting career. But you also want to be someone who has a high sense of professional skepticism. You're very good at research. You're very good at looking into, just being patient with looking into things. So I think forensic accounting is one that gets a lot of interest from people, but again, that's not something you usually go straight into right out of college, because you do kind of need to build up and work your way up to that level of experience for knowing what to look for. You probably wouldn't just know how to investigate fraud, or just landing a job in the FBI right out of college is maybe not likely. But I do think if you're on that career path and that's something that you want to do ultimately, then I would start off at your career in accounting as either an internal or external auditor. I feel like that would give you some great experience to go into that field. But as far as education goes, you want a degree in accounting as well as criminal justice. So the next type of accounting career that I feel like doesn't get a lot of love, but it is a course that you are required to take in school just like everything else. It's heavy on the CPA exam, and that's cost accounting. I personally have not met a cost accountant yet, but I know they exist. I feel like that's such a cool career to go into, and I just don't feel like I hear enough about it. So I wanted to highlight that. So cost accounting is a type of managerial accounting. Cost accountant would be focused on waste reduction. So they are looking at all the aspects of the cost to produce and sell a product. A cost accountant is typically going to work for a manufacturing company. So any company that is manufacturing something, they are looking at every single piece of the product and how much it costs to produce and then sell. So if you think P&G, Procter & Gamble, I believe they're a manufacturing company, a really big one. So if you are the cost accountant and you're in the Tide division, Tide is the product that your team is like focused on. I don't know if that's how it would work, but in my mind, it's broken out by products. So Tide, laundry detergent. So if you're a cost accountant, your focus is on how much money does it cost to produce plan to sell this one bottle of detergent. So we're looking at the actual detergent itself, the cost that go into manufacturing that, as well as bottling it up, and then all of the overhead, all of the science and research into that. Literally, what are the bottlenecks? What are the slow processes that we need to consider, and how much time does it take to make one bottle? How much should we sell it for if we want to make this amount of profit? How much do we need to break even? How long should we keep this around? So if you like things like FIFO and LIFO, doing that part of the accounting, if that's the part that you really connected with in school, this is probably going to be a good career for you. So if you were, as a student, you were really into, like, you were selling candy at school and you came up with your own pricing strategies, you knew how much each candy bar needed to cost, and you knew how many you needed to sell to make X amount of dollars by the end of the week, and that's always just kind of been your thing, cost accounting probably will be a great career for you to go into. So the cost accountant has the type of skills where they're obviously going to be very math intensive. So I know that accounting is always going to involve some math, but there are certain subjects in accounting that involve more math than others, and cost accounting will be one of them. So if you're really into math, you really love numbers, and that's kind of your thing. If you're very analytical, you're good at breaking things down, and you love, you really like the process of looking at things from start to finish, and that's the type of work that you enjoy, cost accounting might be a great career for you. It's probably something that you're going to connect well with and do well in. So as far as education, you obviously need to get your degree in accounting, because, you know, accounting. So accounting is going to be a great background, but along with accounting, I think schema, some type of career in supply chain management and analysis would be great if you're going to go into a career in cost accounting. So the reason I'm always going to name two different career options or two different degree options when you're going into accounting is because 9 times out of 10, depending on what state you're going to be licensed in as a CPA, you're going to need that extra 30 credits. And so if you're doing the double major route, supply chain management would go great with this because it's the logistical side of things. So if you're working for a manufacturing company and you're the cost accountant there, you would just be more of a threat, a triple threat, if you had that supply chain management piece as well, because that goes into the whole, that's literally the whole picture. So those are two degrees that will work well together. If you are looking for a career in cost accounting, a supply chain management degree will be like perfect to go with that. So overall, I mean, with these three careers, you're definitely going to need a degree in accounting, obviously. I'm always going to support that, as well as your CPA. I would say if you're really unsure and you have no idea what type of career you want to go into, I've always said public accounting is a great place to start. That's why probably a lot of recruiters just right out of the gate are like, do you want to be in tax or audit? And they don't really give you other options. It's probably because those two career types serve as a great background, especially audit is easily transferable into other career types. But if you want to just skip past that and go straight to cost accounting, that is definitely an option. Again, with forensic accounting, you usually have to have a little bit of background in something else first, like internal or external audit. But these are just some things to get you thinking. If you know that ultimately the partner at a CPA firm route is not for you, and you're like, well, what's the point if I'm not going to do that? What are my other options? These are a few other things that you might be interested in that could be great for you. So look into these career types and just look into what all of the certification options are, what are the different skill sets that you need, and just give some thought to that and think about how that connects with what you already are thinking and what path you're already on, so that you'll know where you should be headed. So I didn't say, I was intentional about not saying what the average pay is or average salary for these career types, because there's different levels. So, you know, at your local whatever county or municipality you live in as a cost accountant is not going to probably be the exact same as the FBI forensic accountant. So budgets are different. It varies too much for me to throw out numbers and get dragged in the comments for being wrong about those numbers. So I'm just going to leave that off. But if you are interested in getting an idea of what the average salary is for a certain type of career, you can always look that up. I'll leave a link to some websites that you can take a look at in the description box for more information. So that was all for today. I just wanted to highlight those 3 career types. There's so many more that we could go over, but those were the 3 that I chose for today. I hope that you found this video to be helpful. If you did, be sure and give it a thumbs up. If you like it here, feel free to subscribe. We love to have you. And yeah, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.